Hey there everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe below, click the bell to receive notifications of new content, and make sure to visit my website, waynd.com. And today, as you'll see here, we're going to be looking at British Open champ Shane Lowry. Got a few real good swings off of TV, and we got a front and back off of YouTube from the Eduardo Molinari Swing Academy, obviously over in Italy. You can see by the Italian written. So we're going to take a look at Lowry's move. Great, very interesting swing. So one thing to remember about Lowry is that he's had intermittent results during his career. Lost his tour card last year, but then went back to Europe and won in January. Big tournament in Abu Dhabi. Finished 8th at the PGA, which is a very nice finish. And now he's won the British Open. So again, this is a swing that requires some timing and maintenance, but very cool. So one thing I want you to watch here at the start is I want you to focus on Lowry's hands here. Specifically right there. Watch the trigger here is actually a hand grip trigger, so he's going to loosen the grip. He's got it. He's going to take it off. He's going to put it back on, and then he's going to handle drag a bit on the backswing. So he's going to start this more reactively, and he's going to get that opening move to drag a little bit where the face does not open in the first, say, foot of the swing right here. And then he's going to incorporate a lot of forearm rotation, and he's pretty much going to roll the face, and you can see it as it heads up out of his body here. So I like to look at the face when it comes out of the side, and if you see the toe more up like that, then you're really looking at a lot of forearm rotation to get that open. Now most of the time players from here would hold that right arm down and continue to open, which would externally rotate this right shoulder. But he is not going to do that. What he's going to do is he's going to let his right arm keep going up even as he's opening the face. So he's going to get a cup in the left wrist. You can see the grip is never real tight. So he's got that left wrist cup there. And when you look at that right arm and that right forearm, I've done some studies of players and sort of mapped out where the right arm ends up. And this is a certain type of swing that you don't see often, but you definitely see it. So that I was thinking of examples, and the one that I came up with that really struck me is, okay, these are going to look pretty close to the same. Is this one right here. That's Angel Cabrera. Let's watch his action here. So we got the same kind of draggy takeaway, and then he's going to roll it. He's going to let that toe get down. So check out the toe here, and you look at Lowry's face. So we got the cupped wrist and the open face, and what a contrast here to the elbow in, shut face, bowed left wrist, top of the swing action that we're seeing a lot of these days. So you see Cabrera, he's going to take it up, maybe cross the line of hair, and then lay it back and spend the entire downswing trying to supinate that left forearm, add flexion to the left wrist. And that's exactly what we're going to see Lowry do. So we saw Lowry hitting fades and draws, which is one of the advantages of having that club never getting stuck here. So even this is a bullet fade. He had 260 into this par 5 with the winds howling in his face, so he's just pounding that thing down and keeping it nice and low and running it up. So Lowry had nice control of everything. So let's take a look, and this gets pretty interesting when you look at his face on here. So we're talking about the right arm, and how when most players roll the forearms, the right arm will stay and become more externally rotated, but Lowry does not do that. He lets the right arm go up, up, up. Now, you can imagine if you put yourself in this position, when you look at the pressure point underneath the right hand, it's pretty hard to get this thing up here like this and have a lot of pressure from the right palm into the left thumb. So he just sort of leaves it sit there, but on the downswing he'll let that club, it's going to totally be leaning back. He's going to concentrate way more on that right index finger and letting the club lean. And you can see here he's still maintaining that left forearm supination starting or pronation starting the downswing. So again, when you pronate the left forearm, you're rolling, and when you keep that in the downswing, the left wrist is going to stay cupped, and the angle between the left arm and the shaft is going to stay pretty sharp. Now, one thing you wouldn't expect with that right arm position at the top is that he could get it back in front of him. He does a pretty nice job of driving that right arm back in front of him. But he's going to depend more on left forearm supination and left wrist flexion to square that face and get a good strike on the ball. So if we look at that from down the line, there we can, again, we're going to see that little one-piece takeaway, roll the face, let it go up, don't worry about positioning, and then the right arm is going to, from where it is way up here, is going to adduct down and forward. It's too up there and too bent to get all the way down in front of him. So, plus he's a pretty thick guy, so the right arm's going to appear to be a little bit into his side. This is a draw swing. You can see the club coming from a little bit on the inside. But with that left forearm really taking the closing job, you're going to see a nice full release through as that rotation continues, and he exits pretty much around to the left. So let's look at a couple of his swings from the tournament. This was a nice 5-iron on the par 5. Again, these are a little knockdown. Well, they're not exactly little, but they're knockdown shots. And look how beautiful that shaft is above the forearm. And when he's trying to hit a low shot, he's going to turn that left wrist down. He's going to keep turning it down, and you can see where that forearm is in the follow through and where that shaft is. So that left wrist is continually rotating, and that allows the right to cover. Here's a driver swing. Let's take a look at this one. Now, it doesn't take him long to hit it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I always liked that. Darren Clarke, when he won the British, would get up there and hit it between 8 and 10 seconds. Just not a whole lot of shifting around and fidgeting. A couple of waggles and then boom. So a couple things again we see here. There's the drag. There's the rotation. Open face. Another guy that looks a little bit like this at the top. Think Patrick Reed. So thick guys, and it could be, you know, in the shoulder area where there's some rotator cuff restriction, or just not, you don't have the ability to pinch that right arm down in front of them, so it's let it go and then fling it back. And the guys that can keep that shaft from getting trapped back there and stuck are going to do better. You also notice no heel lifting here, very quiet lower body. So when we go back to this down the line, which is a fairly good camera angle. Let's take a look at the lower body movement. So we get a little bit of right leg straightening. You can see the tush lines intact there. The left hip does not shoot forward, so we get a nice, real even balance in that leg movement there. Very important. And the forward swing, again, nice job keeping the butt line just barely out of it with the right leg, but pretty much in the box. So pretty good movement with the legs. We see that over and over again with the best players. And we see that little bit of lowering. Not much more, a little pull away. But again, that right arm, when you look at it from face on, watch how high this thing gets up here. But you can also see how quickly he can get it down even with the left. And when we look at the lower body movement, here's another player who evidences quite a bit of lateral movement. And I encourage everybody that thinks they want to stay on that right side well into the downswing to consider where these guys, a lot of them are here at P5. You got to think there's at least 70 left by that time. So look at the amount of drive. So with that right arm not able to get super far in front, he relies on that lower body drive to be able to get up there and forward lean the club and trap it. So overall, you know, what we see here is just gorgeous rhythm. We see a setup routine that doesn't involve a lot of precision. He's just feeling it. And when this swing works with the short game that he has, he's a very formidable player. All right. Hey there, everybody, it's Wayne D. Welcome to the website. Just wanted to add a little bit to my Shane Lowry video that I just did. So the thing that I forgot to include was that crazy shot of Lowry coming down with his hands off his right hand as you can see up here, right there. So I like to talk about that pressure point of the right palm pressing into the left thumb, and you can see here that that is just not the case with Lowry. And you can also see that that left wrist well down here has got a lot of bend in it, or extension, so it just doesn't look like he's going to be able to do anything but flip at the ball with this thing and throw the right hand. But that's just not going to be the case, because what he's doing, and one of the reasons I think this is the case, is if you watch when he gets to the top, if you put yourself in a position up here where that right arm is up that high and the elbow is that flared out as he is, you can see that here. So when you put your forearm in that position, in that upper arm that high, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to get that right palm to stay on the left thumb, which would be right here. So on the way down, when he turns and he lays the club back, what he's doing is he's leaning it back on these right here. That's the key point, is that forefinger right here. That's taking the pressure of the club. When the club is leaning, it's leaning on this hand. Now what's happening over here is that he's going to take this forearm right here, and he's going to roll it, and he's going to turn that wrist. So this is going to be left forearm supination, and you can see that that right hand's still not on the club, because it doesn't matter, because the club is just leaning right there. And he's going to rotate that left forearm where the left palm is turning up, the knuckles are turning down. And again, he's just using lag pressure right here. So that's your lag pressure point in that right index finger. He's keeping that thumb and forefinger together up here, where Hogan talked about. But you will see Hogan demonstrate where he he hits balls with his pinky and index finger of the other hand off the club. So when this is all timed up, Lowry is amazing. His results have been intermittent though in the past, so it could be something. Now you can see right here that the right palm is back on the club, which you might expect, but that certainly is interesting, to say the least.